Well, you want to make a add-on, you want to make a map, you want to make a game. In this specific case, we'll be making a game. This stuff can work in add-ons too, but beware, add-ons have, if you look in the documentation, S&Box currently in version S&Box editor 28 point something, you cannot access the API. That is huge because that means you can't create variables or access any information off of any of the variables when you're creating a new project, and then it's an add-on and probably a walker map. Haven't tested walker map because haven't tested too much in that specifically, but that's for if you want to make a map for a walker, the game, not a sandbox or any other game. An add-on is when you want to make a map, so that's why it's like, I assume the same for this, and it's going to be the type same stuff. So be aware of that because we'll be executing some of your action graph code, and it will also not work. Some of it is accessible, but very little. So then right here, you can change your location on your game project. You used to, I don't know if it's still a thing, it really doesn't tell you, but it was I don't know if it was a myth, but in older videos of S&Box, people said you had to keep your projects in your C drive because it would break stuff later on. I don't know if that's still the case. You can place your stuff anywhere. That's what I do, but hey, if you want to be safe, put it in your C drive. But that's probably an old thing. If you want to do research, do some research. This title, indent. So lowercase version of the add-on name, no special character. This is the indent. So when someone's making a server, a dedicated server, this is what they will be using. Because, oh, that's right, you can't have it uppercase at all. So Gary's Mod 2, right? Let's go to launch like that. And then you can create a Git, and you can access the Git to that stuff, and you can set that as default location. Then you create your project. And then we wait for this to load up. The actual thing of this looked way different through the years. It's crazy this is version 28. I got in 0.1 because they showed it in the top right hand corner like they do in Rust like previews, which they stopped doing in S&Box. I don't know why. It actually is pretty useful when it's like this type of stuff, but okay. So when you enter into here, this is what you could be greeted with or something pretty close. You know, we're kind of memeing on like Gary's Mod 2, right? Performance, this does kind of lag a little bit. You can change that if you want. Doesn't really matter. So you can have this on anything. I will go... We're in the minimal? No, yeah, there's a minimal scene. So we'll go into this one. You can put this on anything. I'd like to close this. Doesn't really matter because I like to see more of the graph here. You can, first off, this is too very in the future, but with my experience, which I have a lot in action graphs, and well, in S&Box, like overall, they might take it away in the future. We don't know, but there's these things. So if you go up here, you have, click these little dots, you got some settings. Pretty nice. This is why they might get rid of it in the future. What a dumb icon, because this is one of the most powerful systems for action graphs. But that varied, which I'll talk about here in, well, talk about it in a bit. When you click on View Legacy Options, it will go away. You gotta open the graph, it opens this. So if you click it again, you see the stuff, click it again. This is on each one of the components. So you create your own component, it will have these too. There's something similar to this called action invokers. Action invokers are literally the same thing, but they made it into a component. That's when they changed this to be a frowny face. These do act as the same thing. I don't like them. I don't use them. Why don't I use them? Well, I only have to use them if I need to. But even still, I could do the thing I need to do, which is like on enabled is the on start basically, but the on enabled you gotta it's tricky because I don't know why they don't have the on start option, which makes them even more dumb. Which because if you're trying to, let's say, not use these but use these as they were, I guess, are intended to. If you want to create some start stuff here and here and here, you have to create 3 of these. So it's confusing to know when you're searching. Like you can see here, if you can click, which it would do here, because on enabled, that is when you click the button, that is on enabled. Well, that's disabled. So when you click it, it's on enabled. So anything and each one of these graphs, if the top one doesn't fail, and the one below it, and the one, you know, so on and so forth. Because you could have multiple graphs that, on enabled, get fired, but if the graph above the graph breaks, it will not fire the rest of the graphs. Kind of like Christmas lights. If one of the light bulbs, like the old ones, or probably some you can get, one of the light bulbs go out, the whole line goes out. That's how they work in here. So we'll just work with one. That's all on enabled. So when boom, boom, that actually starts and will fire in the thing, which I'll show you like this. So here, we got their nice right click in our little visual here. It is a little buggy. The action graph is probably one of the most buggy things in S&Box currently in version 28. It is. Not the best that I would want it. And like the action evokers, things related to the action graph, not the best because you can't rename these components. So it's hard to know exactly which action evoker you're looking for easily without having to like search multiple times through to get the name. Crazy, I know. That's why I don't really use them and use the legacy. But before we go into this, keep in mind the legacy options here, you cannot get them in certain ways, which that's a more advanced information, but 99.9% of the time you're good. It's kind of when you step into the multiplayer realm, it gets a little funky. And it just really depends on what you're doing multiplayer, like legit. So that I won't cover here. But we got a little on action. So if I do this, how do we print or how do we like go into console and have something, you know, do hello world? We go into here, we got a little debug string. You see right here. So these are all the little stuff that you can get in the empty space. Because each variable, especially the ones that you create, like components and whatnot, will have extra information, which sometimes you can pull in the empty space, but other times you can't. So you won't see. So for example, if you're trying to get one of your weapons that you created, custom weapons, you won't see it in here. You have to get your weapon component, which will be on your player or your inventory system. Your inventory system, which is on your player, or your weapon component, which is on your player as well. Depends on how you want to do it, because it could be a game object as well. So here, boom, we got comment, which is basic. Look at this, green, very easy, very nice. Some basic colors. I wanted to be a color wheel in the future. Gary Newman. We got title, so this is the title. Gary's Mod 2, boom. We'll make it blue. Gary's Mod 2, and description, my Gary's Mod 2, and that's the description. So that's how you do it. You can stretch it like this. These are a little buggy. Remember, the action graphs are a little buggy. And the comments are not as good as Unreal Engine, to be fair. The reason is because anything inside, which I'll demonstrate here. So we'll put this in here, right-click. You already see the problem. So if you right-click it, left-click out of it, which is a little annoying. So if you right-click, left-click, it doesn't take you out of it, which it kind of should. But the thing is, it says cut, copy, because it copies all the notes, which is pretty cool. But either way, let's do a little debug. So if you hover over debug, or you can type it, but if we see here, we got log. There's no descriptions for most of the nodes. I know, kind of crazy. It's early on. They probably won't fix it for a hot minute. I don't want to know when they will fix it. But when they do, you will see it, which will easily tell you what the heck you're looking at, because they should be here, but they're not yet at this current time, which is in the development phase. But either way, we got log error, which will log a error, which we here, let's do it. So we got this. We do each one. And then we have info. And then we have warning. Plug it in. This is also, so it teach you how to create a variable. So we got variables. Any variable that's in your stuff that you can grab will be here. Even if you're making an add-on, you will be able to create a variable, but it just won't work. Because it's technically an add-on. Well, at least in this time in version S&Box 28V something. But you can get your components. Now, thing is, you got like all your components. So you make new components, everything like that, in base S&Box. So anything they make, boom, you got, brother. But if you want the basic stuff, where's my booleans? Where's my ints? Well, it's in your system. You got your bools, floats, ints, objects, and strings. Very basic, and that is your basic ones. What I'm going to do, I'm going to make a string. Wait, new variable, what happened? Yes, so it is a little confusing. Hover over. This is where you enter, this should be variable name. or new variable name, because that's where you type in your new name to then go over and click on the string. There you go, like that. But wait, what do I do with this one? Well, right click it, go and edit, and rename. You could also change the type, which would be, so we'll put this over here, and we'll plug it not into this one, but into this one, which I'll show. And you're like, wait, what just happened? Yep, I know. Don't worry, we're okay. I freaked out too. You have to set variables in the action graph. Action graph temp variables are not the best. They're not Unreal Engine variables, unfortunately. These are kind of floppy. They're temp variables, not really nice. They are, but for temp-related reasons. In this graph, it's hard to access variables in action graphs. Yeah, I think it's technically possible. It's very hard and so annoying that I really haven't tried, and I'm okay with not doing that because I've been able to do logic. I made weapon ballistic system, complicated systems enough to understand that I like to have passed through variables without doing that. If I try to open this up, it will bug out because every time, unfortunately, for S&Box, if you minimize the action graph, it minimizes like this. And the way to easily open it back up is to minimize your game and open it again. Which, if this is open, it's always going to snap back into the same position. Like that. Like, if my nodes are over here, and I want to keep looking at these nodes, it is a bug. Unfortunately, in version 28, it's a bug, so if you're experiencing that, keep it minimized to this window. That's why I keep it like this, unfortunately. But, so, you're like, wait, need binoculars. I know I need to because for some reason, I don't know why, but everything's so hard to see. I think it's because the color. Oh, yeah. Is he the log info? They should make that more of a lighter color. Desaturate that. Make that a little bit more like closer to a white color because it is really hard to see. Same thing for each one of the colors. Like they're a little too close to the background color. That would really help it pop. So if I zoom in, which you can zoom in really close, you can really see the stuff here. Get your warning. Copy and paste. Because we gotta set it. Because we just got it. Just like it's C#. Because action graphs are C#. It's not a Unreal Engine nodes. It's a heavy, direct C#. Which is a harder way to learn nodes if you are just not knowing coding type of terminology and dynamics. And methods and all that type of stuff. So for here, because in C#, if you do this type of thing, it also would be null as well, like this. But awesomely, in action graphs, it says error, error, you can't do that. And it will say it here too, in your little error list here, which will give you warnings and messages. Which will give you a warning, node is unreachable for all the nodes that are unreachable, right? 2 of them. Well, for this one, how do we set it? Well, for this is just a string, so I'm going to type this is warning, and this is how you set variables in a lot of different ways. So not just this variable, this is how you set the variable. For another example, I'm just going to pull out a node real quick, which is going to be kind of confusing. We'll go into component list, and we're going to try to get component. Right here, we got the same list. We got 2 different lists. Whoa, what is this? A drop-down box? Components that are enabled? Yes. This is actually very self-explanatory, but it also is a next level into action graphs. But either way, you have your components. So you could search, what is this? In this object, like this object, which is this component, and this component is on this cube. This cube is cube 2. So this one right here, on this component, try to find this component. And it's every component in your game. Very strong. Very strong node. Very, very strong. You get the component and you get the result if true or false. This is a Boolean. You can also... Wait, you catch? How do I know... what are the pins? How do you know what this is? It just says T. Well, if you type in your component name, because that is T, that is like null. It's like nothing. So let's just say... fire damage. So the fire damage component, if I hover over, it says on any of the inputs and outputs the type of thing that it is, variable and name. of the components. So like this is a search find mode. This is a component fire damage. So the fire damage component. This is a result bool. So bools are what? Only true and false. So you get the true and false and boom. Remember when I said earlier, you can't always get every type of information in the graph? This is one of them. You can get the damage per second on the fire damage. And then you can get it. So this is a variable. This is a probably a float variable. Yeah, we can see, right? I can check out. I mean, I've never checked this because I haven't used this, but I can see which one just by going over. Oh, that's a get. That's a float. Oh, that's a set. It's a float because it's a float variable. Whatever one variable is, it's a, same type. You could have a array and a list, which is multiples, but that's not what we're talking about here. So how do you get this information or any information on the variable? You get it like that. And then you get the extra, look at this, extra information. So this is float on, boom. And all the float values, length, get pixels, you get it all. Legit, anything in C# that you're looking for, it's very heavily C#, I know. Don't worry. It's actually very, it's unintuitive at times, yes, but you'll get there. So just take it step by step, trust me. I thought I wouldn't understand this, but now I understand it. Like, truly, I really thought I wouldn't be. But anyways, that's how you get it. But it's like, wait, Ecatch, how do I change the actual fire damage per second so I can increase it to be more damage? Guess what? You could set it right here. So I could, funny enough, so copy, paste, plug it in. I could get the fire damage, and I could type in add. I want to add because you got a lot, but we're looking for common nodes arithmetic. Remember? Yeah, this is C#. So we got this. Oh, inputs? Float? What's the problem? Object? Float? Oh, so wait, that's not a true float then. Is it? I don't know. One? Oh, no, there we go. See, I mean, sometimes I'm like, even I get confused, but it's okay. So that, in order for your stuff, you gotta put in that. For some reason, not always this happens. Sometimes it actually is okay. I don't know why that happened. Either way, so I want to take the, let's just say damage per second is 2. I want to add 50. So I want to get 2 and add 50 and set it on itself. So you could add or subtract. You could do subtract. It's got all arithmetic. So that's how you get some type of arithmetic and set a variable via that way. You get a variable and have it get manipulated and set itself. So this would be 52 damage per second. So that's how you do something like that. But with the variables, look, got your warning, boom, goes back on this, boom, we plug that in, that's how you get that going. And now in here, it won't work. How do you actually get the information? You gotta type in what you want. So you can type in whatever, I'm gonna type in warning, Gary, help, fix, action, graph, bugs. And then I'm gonna do this, and then important. You see this here? This says args. This is an argument. Whatever type of variable can be put in here to display what it is, the name or the information. So how do you get that? Because you could have multiple, because they're like, wait a second, there is only one. Yeah, add in another one. So how do you call it? Well, you type in curly bracket, 0, curly bracket. Why? Because I plugged this into the 0 slot. Boom, the 0 slot, which then it creates just a little curly bracket. So this will display in the console this, and I could do the same thing here. Now also with the graphs, so the graphs are the comments are kind of annoying. I'll show you why. So if you're trying to select just these nodes, watch what happens. Uh-oh, all your graph just got selected. Why? Because it selects the graph as well. It's really annoying when you have a lot of comments and you want to be organized and a lot of nodes in one graph. It's actually really annoying. I wish that if you do something like this, it will never select. Make it an option in the engine. Make it an option. Boolean, true, false. Select over. When I select over nodes first, before this and I select this, do not highlight it. There you go. I just made the code for face punch. Boom, in my head. Then do that, because I need that. It's so annoying. I have so much experience. You'll see what I mean too. So boom, we got this stuff. New name. We'll put this on info. New name. Copy paste. My unique hedge. This should work. So you don't have to use the arguments all the time, but this is a string, so you can put it into the format. But trust me, it's better to do this because you can get very specific on what type of bug you're looking for and fill it like a game object. What is a game object? It's these things up here. Everything in here is a game object. I know it's kind of confusing, but just think of that. Everything is literally a game object, but it's changed slightly to be slightly something different. But in the end, they're all game objects. Why? Because look, you get easily information of game objects all here. If you want to get any type of game object information. You want to get if it's active, you want to get the children. So if some of these are parented in here, so if you want like the sun, you grab the sun, or you find the sun, get that variable, which will be a game object variable, and you get children, and then you get the children, and in here, this, I know we get a little too deep, I'm not going to go too far, but this is a, actually, is it a list technically? Yeah, it's a list, not an array. That's different. A list gives you action graph stuff. If your variables are an array, you will not get these variables, or you will not get these options. Arrays suck for action graphs. Really bad. They need to fix that. They need to copy and paste this for arrays. I don't know why they don't have it. It's in version 28, they don't have it. So hopefully in the future, if maybe. But either way, you can get in here everything in the list. What is a list? It's an array. Literally. It's an array. So you can count it, you can get the capacity, as read only, binary search, contain. You get every single one of these options. What I'm looking for here is to get something, which is funny enough, not here. It's actually in the collections. Collections is an array or a list, because it's a collection of items. That's why I say collection. So I want to get so children, this is technically has 1. 1 in code logic is 0. Like the first one is not 1, it's 0. If I type in 1, it actually, I don't know what it would get. It might actually get itself, but if there was 2 objects in here, let's just say there was another game object, it would get the second one. Because this is 0, and the next one's 1. So there's your get item, and you get anything out of that item. So, or get the game object. But that's confusing though, right? Because like, oh wait, I'm going to get the 2D box, but wait, how do I get the 2D box components? Because wait, it's a game object. It's not this. How do I get the information? Well, don't worry, because then you can literally just type it. I know that's weird. Out of any game object, you can type any component, and technically it will string here. But it will not work. It has to be there. So I could type in, I think fire damage. I can type in fire damage. If I play this, this will be red. It will not work. Why? It is not here. So what I want to do is, which speaking about that, what if I plug that in, like to demonstrate that? Why I didn't really want to demonstrate it? Well, because it will break the whole graph. What? Yes. Unfortunate. I don't know if it's a bug or intended. I don't think C# works like that. Maybe it does. I don't know. Because I think it continues working, even if it's a buggy thing. Either way, if any part of your action graph, yes, any part is null, like broken null, not just empty, but broken null, or breaks any bug in any way, shape, or form, that specific action graph will not work again in that session. You have to restart. So you have to like play, you're playing the game, it breaks, error, you see it, you have to restart. Not always, like it will, like sometimes you can keep the graph, because the graph is meant to be but I don't really do it because it bugs out sometimes. Meant to keep open, and you can press play and modify your logic. Well, that's okay if you're doing simple stuff like this, but if you're getting components and like variables in like complicated ways, you have to restart it because it fully breaks the freaking thing. I'm not even joking. Not only that, but warning, warning, whoop, whoop, warning, warning, whoop, whoop. This is a warning from iAG to you developers at this moment in time. There is a thing called, which is, I think in the collections? No, it's in control flow. Yeah, it's in control flow. Control flow, I'm not going to go through each one of these, but I guess I should go through that right now. This is your variant where you can get your type, value, get, game object, all your game object stuff, components, anything component related, which can be from the cube object, which was, so anything game object. This is on the game object cube 2, which has the action invoker. So you can see that because it says from it. Not only that, but you can get all components, get component, try to get component, create component, get or create component. Object, get the hash code, is valid, toString. toString is really nice to print variables that are not easily printable. In scene is very important. That's where you get your little events here. Start pressing, stop pressing, pre-input. These I don't really use too much, but when you're using stuff related to this, this is where you find your run events, your basic ones in the scene. But wait, Ekej, I'm not trying to do all this. I'm trying to just spawn something in real quick. I gotcha. Clone game object. Because here, watch this. Type in the word spawn. You're like, spawn point, network spawn. Wait, where's spawn game object? Maybe these are one of these. No, it's not. Because they have no tag system for their, whatever these are called. Like, technically, in this menu. Options, there's no tag. So, how do you spawn stuff in an action graph? Two ways. Only two ways. One, clone game object, or in the same one, instantiate prefab. These are the two ones. It's either you want to clone a game object, which is literally just spawn it. I know, it's crazy. I don't know why it's the name, but they should have it in the description. They don't yet, I know. But in future, they will. I bet. So that's the only two ways in action graph that I know. There might be a third, but I really have tried to find and I couldn't find in an action graph unless you go in C# and do it in C#, which is different. So that's how you find your stuff. Also, this is also how you find stuff. Find object by name. Any game object by name. Find game objects. So this gives you an array to control flow for each through, search through. So that's how you know, like how you search through stuff. Very easy. And that's how you get your information to be like, okay, I'm searching through whatever. There's various ways of checking, which I won't go into too deep, but there's tags, and tags are really nice. This is not for that. Then you get all components in scene, get component in scene, and scene trace. That's your line trace. That's how you like raycast. That's what this is. You got your audio, play audio at, stop all sounds, collections. This is where you get all the collection related stuff. Get item, new array of type, new dictionary key to value, new list of type, new set of type, set item. Then you got your control flow. You got your all, any, for each, for range, if, switch, and while. Debug, basic. Graphics, color, random color. Input, that's the input pressed. So it's like, wait, how do I detect an input action? Well, you have to have it on, so no inputs are detected in game. You have to enable those detections. You create the keybinds, but you don't create the detections like you kind of normally do in Unreal Engine. So how do you do that? Well, you could use on start and use what I was worried about earlier, a while. Because a while, you can have an on start. So when this component in the legacy settings, when the component technically starts, because all components on start, boom, when it starts, it will fire logic. Well, this is a while. A while is like, basically, it's not an indefinite loop, but it will keep looping like a timer for you. And for an on start, you can click on start, pressed. Wait, what's this? Remember how you said options? Up here. This is how you find all your keybinds. This is all the basic keybinds that comes with S&Box by default. You can change them you can change them if you go up a right hand corner. So far in version 28 they might change your location. Click the cogwheel, go to input, and this is where you can define all the actions, remove the actions, and add them from here. So like add, I added a new action, and then you click it, and this is like fly. Group name, you can add a group, and title, you can add a title, same thing, fly. And keyboard code, so click it, fly, spacebar, boom, there it is. And then you can get your gamepad code, which is right here. This will probably change in the future because it'll add more support. That's how you do that, and then you can just right-click delete and do all that type of stuff. You got keyboard VR support. Little buggy at the moment, but they just fixed some stuff on that legit in the past updates. So probably be even better in the future. That's how you get your key presses. Well, what's left click and right click? It's called attack 1 and attack 2. Left click is attack 1, right click is attack 2. So left click. On left click, I can do this, but that's what you now want to do for that. But that's how you can, like, what you want to do is this. Type in the word if. There is your branch. That's how you do a branch that on whatever Boolean will fire true or false. So if I put this on update or on fixed update, or I use a while that has a temp Boolean set up to let this fire with a delay, a game object delay specifically, with a delay of 0.01, this will fire checking this multiple times, that many times a second, if the player left clicked. If so, it will fire. That's how you check if left click, if whatever, on those inputs. Analog look, it's all those. That's how you would detect that. So if this was just on the start, or on the update, you wouldn't need a while. You would just plug it right into, copy, on update, you just plug it right into here. Because, well, I know people don't put delays, but the thing is, for me, if you're going to be just checking a few different things multiple times a second, that's not too bad. But when you're checking a lot, and you're checking it incredibly fast, like an on update or on an on fixed update, that gets kind of laggy. So a way to prevent that is, what I found is a delay. But either way, so if you do this, this is how you could simply do a check. So if you just like, I just want to do this, I don't care about fully optimizing, because you don't fully need to, because you're not doing super crazy stuff yet. That's how you would do it on update or on fixed update. And then if you do whatever logic that you want to do on left click, on right click, or whatever button pressed, you can do your logic here, and it will check, and when you press it, it will press and do that logic that you're asking it to do. Now, will that logic actually work? That's another question. Which I can do here. So I can do log, type in log. Yup. Save. Which is now, graph has just been destroyed as I saved that. Which I don't know how and why that just happened. Doesn't make sense. Sometimes this doesn't make sense, and that's okay. When something like this happens, big note. Just select everything. When you're copying graphs from one graph to another graph, make sure you copy it. Like, I'm not joking. Sometimes graphs will just disappear or just break and like just erase. I'm not joking. It's a little bug. I don't know what, but it happens. Which means if you're gonna be transferring from one thing to another thing, or copy and pasting, or like this, you're like, wait, graph would be destroyed. What does that mean? If you're not sure, legit, I'm not even joking. Highlight it all besides the input pin, because you don't need this. Select it all. Close. So what is this on the cube? Let's find the cube. Cube. Boom. Is it not there? Oh no, it's right. Is it right here? Yep. Boom, right here. Actually, it is there still. If it wasn't, I would be able to, boom, paste V, and it's right there, and I don't have to start from scratch. That's a big tip. But then we have our math. That's all your math and geometry and literally every math-related geometry thing, I think. You got your randoms and like all of that. You got your operators, so you got your arithmetic, bitwise, Boolean, comparison, and conversion. Confusing, I know. Arithmetic is where you're going to find your add, divide, modular, multiply, negate, subtract, and your plus. You got your bitwise and exclusive or, not or. You got your Boolean and also conditional, not or else, comparison, less equal, greater than or equal to, is not null, is null, less than or equal to, not equal, as type, and convert. Services, this is for the achievements. So when you want to add achievements, you can also do them in here too. So you can get achievement, unlock achievement, stats, get global map stats, get local, and get local map stats. If you go into time is basic, only 3 nodes. You got your delta, now, and scene delay. When you create any variables, it does bug out. Sometimes they just disappear. I don't know how. If your variables, if this tab ever disappears, you could search through them. Just type in var space. Or this, because it actually shows them up here. Sometimes you gotta type in space. Right here, there's my 2 variables that I created. So if you ever lose them, they're actually still here. You just gotta filter var plus and CRE variables. Because sometimes if you search the name, it won't search it. I know. Crazy. It's a little bug. I'm sure they fix it. One last thing. So I'm like, boom, boom. That's set a value. This time I'm gonna be like, bug here somewhere. So in each one of these, I'm executing code in a different way. I got just executing it on the logic, which you can in any node that does something like this, you can do this. Using a variable to set, and you have to set that variable a local one. If it's in C#, you don't. But that C# variable still has to be set somewhere for this to actually show something. So like, if you like search all the players and find them and find like your player, you can put that in the C# and then pull it from the C#, because the C# will be here that you can then pull as like a variable. So this is not on, well, this is on a game object, but it's not a custom one. So for a quick example, so if I make a new component, this is how you do it, my component, simple component. You then open it up, it opens up, because if you don't got Visual Studio, get Visual Studio. It is amazing. So you go in and you got your little variable. You got your little string property. Cool. So I'm going to go to my component, which is here. I got my little string property. Well, with my little string property, I want to get that component. So if I go onto the legacy options on this one, because it's on this one, I can right click. And yeah, and you type in like my, because it's my component, so you gotta do my component string property. But it like, wait a second, what's this? Well, that is a problem. You gotta figure out how to fill that, or you can drag and drop. Since we're in the same component here, we're in this will get it. This is not multiplayer supported, by the way, if you do it in this method. With this, it's not multiplayer supported, so be careful of that. It might be, but I've tried it and it doesn't work. That's a whole nother ball game. But if you're making a single player game, if you're in a prefab, that's a whole nother thing. That's not what I'm getting into right now. But if you're in a prefab or a game object, like this, that has the component, it can get it because you can drag and drop. It's on the same object. If I'm on the cube 2 or cube 1 and I try to get this component by doing that, it will not. This will always be a red line. It will always be an error. It will never work. So keep that in mind. So close that. Here, let's see our low code. Oh wait, we cannot. Why, Kedge? Because if you have anything, literally any one of these are an error, you have to delete it. Oh wait, that's an error too, Kedge. I know, delete it. Because, or fill in all the variables, which you probably don't want to do. Like I don't. So save. This should be good. I'm just going to copy just in case, because that's scaring me. So this should, oh, yep, it did. Error, bug somewhere. I'm Kedge. Warning, Gary, help fix action graph bugs. And right after, this is a warning. So it executed all the code, which you can see in real time most of the time. When you're using a while, because that's the thing, when you're using a while, if you try to look at that action graph and you're watching the while, you will get a bug that's going to say input. Normally, if you see a bug that says error input, it's like a paragraph like error message. Restart your engine. I'm not even joking. It's like the old cartridge. Pull it out, blow on it, and put it back in. It literally works on restart. I'm not joking. It's a bug. When you're using the while, be careful. There's a bug that will do that, where your action graph will not work. It's crazy, I know. I've, not joking, multiple times, multiple occasions had that happen, restarted the project, and then the logic works. And it would be like, wait, is that going to be a problem in-game? No, if it's bug-free, which it needs to be, or the graph is going to break in the game and not work again. So if it's truly bug-free and you're on a dedicated server and it's like you got actual proper code, which it should be when you're doing dedicated servers and doing that stuff, which costs like 20 or 40 bucks, it's going to say an error and stop that graph, which is a big boy problem. If it's in like an on check, it can be like if it's like being like it's like an on update. Anything that breaks on an on update completely stops type stuff. That's where you got to be careful, because that while, if you're looking at it, it's going to create that error. So close it, open back up, it will work. And you won't have any troubles in the dedicated servers or anything like that. So if I look over, so I stop this, I want to look at the action invoker. Press play, boom, there it is. It's the on start. Ready, and boom, there's the on start. You saw it right there. So, thing is, with booleans, so you will see a red line if something is broken, unless it's a green boolean, if it's a green line. Why? Or this lime green? Because a boolean, when it's fired false, will look red. I don't know why they do that. It should be green. If it's, I know, well, it shouldn't be green. It should be orange. So it shows that it's firing false. It shouldn't be red. It's either because it's either change the red color, so if something is like an error and doesn't work, make that red. So let's just say, for example, this was like just erroring out, like for some reason it's just not, the information's just not working. You can watch your graph and this literal line will be red. If you see that, that means there's something wrong here. Not here, there's something wrong here. So let's say this was a variable like this, and it had more variables attached and more variables attached. You just continue down the string, because you will see if this string attaches to this. If this was broken, or if for some reason this string was broken and this was green, that means there's something broken on this one. If this is red, that means this component and wherever this is on is not finding on, because it says this. How do you get your current component or your current game object that this action graph is on? You type in word this. It's not a good name. It's too confusing. Value passed to this input when the graph started execution. And this is going to be this, which is object this graph is currently running on. So I can get this, try to get component. And the thing is, try to get component and be like, citizen helper. And I have, like, for some reason that, like, lined up, right? Let's just say that was actually possible. This could be red and this is red, so that means you have a problem here. And that's how you can find your problems very quick with the action graphs. Very, very quick. It's the biggest thing. Legitimately, it really helps. One problem though, you cannot actively check your action graphs visually if you're doing a multiplayer thing, unfortunately. I have not found the way to do it. Maybe there is. It's just very unintuitive. How you do multiplayer, on a quick note, press this little button. Well, you gotta play. And then press the little button and join. But the thing is, why is it not working? Well, because there's no player. There's no network stuff that you need. That's a different thing, but that's how you would, like, join. So if boom, you're like, wait, why can't I see the action graph? That means you're going to have to use a lot of the debug strings. That's why this stuff is very important, and why I wanted to go over the different ways you can set and use the 3 different types of debugs that are very, very helpful and are 100% crucial on using stuff. Everything else that I go into deeper is going to be extra information. You're like, Eketch, how do I get UI components? Well, you have to create a razor component, on an object. A razor component is UI. Anything razor is UI. So you can tell, because I noticed, like, wait a second. This is a game object. This is a CS code component. This is a razor component icon. So when you bring in your component, you can bring it out, and that's how you get your panel. Your panel component is your navigation, and I know. Careful. You might get a little dizzy. I did too when I first saw this. You get everything that you will need in the UI if you were to do it strictly within here. Because this is razor type stuff. Yes, I know. I have not fully went through this because I got super overwhelmed by it. I will want to and will learn it in the future, but it's actually a little bit less confusing when you do it in C#, razor. Well, razor is C# and HTML combined. So that's how you could get your UI if you really wanted to get your UI, which is get a component, get the panel, because this one's specific with the panel. You can have has class, state change, and all that type of stuff with it too, which is really nice. So if you want to show a panel or hide a panel, that's how you would do it. That's how you would get it. And that's really the basics of action graphs. Action graphs are really great. Action graphs are one of the best, like, you can do legacy components on anything. That's why legacy components are really great. And not only that, want to know another thing too? Watch this. So if I go into my component here, eCatch, how do I create an action graph variable? Well, there is a few ways. So if you go, well, there's like 2 ways that I know. So if you go here, you got your property. Oh, not gonna work. Well, this is action graph there. So you gotta use, if you wanna get a default, this is a default from the system action graph. Why is that important? Well, if you wanna take one action graph and set that on another one, that can only happen if they're both technically the same action graph variable. This is one way of creating an action graph variable, and this is another way of creating an action graph variable. This is probably not the best way, but I'm not joking. I've used this, it works. Probably not best way, but hey, if you want, if this ain't cutting for you, this works. Why is this extra awesome? Well, you probably could do something over here. Hey, this is basic information. Well, this is how you get your action graph. Boom. This is how you do it in a different way. This is how you do it if you want to, let's say, so if you have a function, you, or action graph. Action graph only has one pin. It's the execution pin. You can check their documentation and add multiple inputs and outputs to your action graph nodes, because you can create your own action graph nodes via a C# file. Because you could create it a resource. That's more complicated information. But for here, we got a random function. Well, I want to pass something through this function that goes inside. Because, well, actually, well, there's that, and here's another thing. First, I'll show you how do you actually, in C# start, which is important, an action graph function. Well, we have it right here. It's called, well, you get your action graph variable name. So for this one, this action graph, we get the name, $.invoke. In here is the nice. Because in here, well, actually, well, this should be like in here. So if you call this function, it will start this action graph variable. You're like, wait, okay, then what's on the variable? How do I actually edit it? Well, if we go down to my component that I just edited, I created an action graph var, and I just created a second one on a different tab. Yeah, fancy. This is this one. This is action graph var, the default action. Well, if we go into here, we can press it, and we can create multiple, which is nice. Press it, and since it's my action graph thing bugged, I gotta minimize and open it, and there you go. There's your action graph. That's how you, then now you can create your logic in here, but that's how you could create your logic. That's what it's like, wait, then how do you fire it? And that's dependent on how your system works. You can create an interaction system completely in action graphs, but you still in C# tell it to invoke depending on a button press. Little poopy, but thing is you can bring in action graphs into like functions. So in here, I can show you because I think I created it, right? So you can type in, boom, random function, and you can get that, but you have to get the component that has that. Which is this one, I think? No? Well, you have to get your component, and you got to target it, and then you have your function. So that's how you can fire the function that's in your C#. So this right here. So this action graph, so let's just say I swap that variable. So instead of this one, I want to fire this one, which has completely different set of logic. There, I can, this could be created anywhere in any C# and put on any game object. If you can just actually get it, find it, get the variable, and call it, you'll be able to call it and have your variables pass through. So let's just say I want a game object. That is the things over here. Game object name. So then you can pass in it here. Problem is, this game object does not exist right now. So you would have to create the variable game object. And then, so then you create your game object right here, which then you set. So remember when I said you could get this component in an action graph, get this variable like I talked about earlier, set it like a game object. So you want your player, this could be your player game object, and you can pass it into another action graph. So if I save, which if you do this, mind you, if you create a new input pin like I just did, you, which is on the delegate, which is on this one, you have to close your graph because it will not update. Like, these, it will not update the pin there. Like, it would just look like this. Like, okay, it didn't update. You'll see what I mean. So then when I click this, I actually updated it, like, by closing it and creating a new one. It was already empty, so I just created a new one. But if there was something there, copy and paste all your code. Copy, press a new one, paste it into the new one. If it's actually pasted and it's good, plug it in. Then delete the old one and use where all you need here. You can put any type of value or variables in here and get the values. So you can then kind of keep on piggybacking, like, okay, target this component which has this action graph variable that I want to fill, target that, fill it, and then call the function. Well, it's going to call this, which then I'm like, oh crap, I need my player. My player has inventory. Boom, get the inventory because it's actually there because you called it via another, wherever way, but called it from one action graph, like here, and that came from somewhere. So that action graph can actually be on the player, and this could be on a complete, like this one could be on a completely different thing, and it will pass through if you can actually make it call to each other. It's a little tricky to do that depending on what you're trying to do, but that's how you can actually create your, very easily, create your pins. It's annoying, yes. It's not like Unreal Engine, yes. Again, this is C#. But this is how you would easily create your little variables in any type of variable too. But certain variables you have to use system or S&Box if it's coming from actually S&Box, which is S&Box. It's just confusing because it can't put the and symbol there or else it'll break. I think. But so also, just as a little extra tip, you're like, wait, Ekatch, how did you make a new tab here? Look, property, feature, group, title. This action graph name, if you notice closely, is not the variable name. But this variable name, action graph var, is this name completely. It's because I added a title. If I add a title, do a comma, add a title with a space, this will then change to this variable's name visually. A little extra spice. So you can use this little code. This is a feature. A feature is a tab. A group is a group of these. So if you want your variables to be grouped up, because this is a tab, but they're not grouped like these. If you want them grouped up and name that, well, you gotta name it anyways to group it. There it is right there. So it's feature, action graphs, group, action graphs, title, variable name. So you can change your action graph name as well. And you can do this not just only with these, you can copy and paste this on any variable in the S&Box. Any variable, I repeat. And that will also work, save it, yeah. And it will update in real time. And then the thing is, wait a second, this is an action graph, this is an action graph. What's going to happen? Well, they're both going to be in action graphs now. Because you use the same name, it detects it and puts it in the same category. But then I want to be like, wait a second, I want this to be actually in a different group. Same tab, because action graph, but a different group. Boom, there you go. That easy. Action graphs, action graphs. So that's how you can do that with action graphs. That's the basic information. Anything deeper is when you're getting into the next stage of information, which is getting deeper also into C#, because you have to, since it's so deep in C#. It's not as kind of abstract nodes like Unreal Engine, which are way easier and more intuitive to easily see. Like when you type in spawn in Unreal Engine nodes like this, it gives you the exact node, which is called spawn active from class. This doesn't, right? So you'll be like, wait, how do you call, like, what's that thing? Because under Unreal Engine, it's called a branch. In here, it's called an if, true or false, based on a Boolean condition. So that's all the information without going too deep into that. And to get your inputs, which is your game object, and this, which is this game object, and then the game object name, which is weird, I know. But it is the input, because it's an input, this, right here, input. You got two inputs. You got the game object, and you got this input. And you can directly call that input. Like you can in Unreal Engine function. If you create a function and create it there, you can call that variable in other places. So you don't have to pull the string all the way over. You could just be like, boom. Because it's already set right there, like that. So you can type in log. Well, actually, I won't do it. You can type in log. Actually, debug log, and then plug it into that one, and plug that in game, boom, right, 0, boom, so you can actually show it. Because you plug it in, nothing won't happen, but you have to, like, you don't have to type in anything, you just do this, and it will just show it. But trust me, you want to put what this is. You will see what I mean when you get to that point. So you can easily see what it is. And that's how you do everything. Hey, any questions? Let me know. Let me know. I will try to get to them. Also, the engine's going to update and they might fix things. Stuff is going to change. There is bugs in the action graph. Again, the action graph is kind of the most buggy thing in S&Box. So keep that in mind when you're using this. If you have any problems, legit try to restart your engine and try to look up through the S&Box documentation. It does help. And also, try to use some AI if you have to at the end of the day, and try to hallucinate with it to see if you can fix your problems, because there's not much information out there on action graphs.